Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there? Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, January 30th, 2018. Thank you for listening to the debut show of What's Out There. We're going to go over some mainstream media articles and what might be reported or what might not be reported. There's a lot of stuff out there. Of course, we know this week there's a lot of stuff going down with the FISA memos, and the FISA memo will be released. And we're going to touch on that a little bit here in a bit. But I do want to say that today is a wonderful day for our debut show. Our debut show happens to be on quite an event. It's a once in a 150-year occurrence, which is called a super blood moon. Okay, and basically the way this works is on tonight or tomorrow morning, we're going to be treated to a rare super blue blood moon. And basically the whole blue blood moniker might sound a little spooky, but there's a little more to it. As described by NASA, a super blood moon, or a blue blood moon, is a combination of three separate events occurring at the same time. The moon's closest approach to the Earth, where the moon, the full moon, and the full lunar eclipse. Now, the closer than usual approach of the moon makes up for what we call a bigger, brighter supermoon, while the eclipse adds that element of red or blood or a reddish hue, which will have, that'll get that from passing through the Earth's shadow for a while from the atmosphere. And it becomes that reddish because that's passing through the atmosphere. It gives the moon its color. While it sounds interesting, it gets better. This second full moon of the month, which is actually the blue moon, okay, it's not related to color in any way, but it only happens every 2.5 years. The first supermoon of the month appeared on January 1st, which was the second member of a trilogy that started with last month's supermoon and will end with one on tonight. So this supermoon was pretty special. Blue moon, blood moon, supermoon, eclipse. It's a whole bunch of stuff all in one. So I'm kind of thinking this is going to be a pretty special day, I hope. Anyway, back in 2017, last year, a whole month ago, right? There were a whole bunch of stories that just seemed to be either, buried, forgot, or ignored, something like that. But we've got a dozen of them here. I wanted to just kind of go over with them real quick just to kind of remind people of what happened and what they're either being informed on or not being informed of. The liberal college town was Charlottesville, Kentucky, I believe it was. It was a college town. They hosted an alt-right rally on August 12th. It turned deadly when a protester ran over a woman in his car. The event was used to attack President Trump because he originally condemned all the violence that took place during the rally, which the media falsely claimed was a sign of support for neo-Nazis and KKK members and white supremacists. You know how the media can be, right? While the media praised Democratic Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe and Democratic Charlottesville Mayor Mike Signer, for their responses specifically condemning the white supremacists. While the media ignored, however, was how the violence escalated and who was responsible. Left-leaning groups like the ACLU and ProPublica which are both George Soros funded. They both criticized the response by state and local police and suggested they'd been ordered to stand down. Well, despite all that, the police had, in fact, been instructed only to intervene in conflicts between white nationalists and counter-protesters in the event of serious injury. So basically, it was kind of selective on what they were going to do. That kind of got brushed under the rug, the whole political scene. It's all politics. It all starts with the governor. Number 11, the Las Vegas massacre. It's been more than 85 days since Stephen Paddock shot up a country music concert in Las Vegas, killing 58 and injuring approximately 500 more. The FBI has released little to no information about Paddock, and no information exists about a possible motive, although the FBI ruled out the possibility of terrorism almost immediately, despite multiple claims of responsibility by ISIS. So you've got to be careful, who knows what happened over there? That's still a mystery. There were sounds coming from everywhere, shots coming from everywhere. That whole thing has been covered and buried up. Number 10, the Podesta Group in Mueller's investigation. Lost in the media's continual bombardment of fake news, bombshells about how President Trump seemingly doomed every week in the Podesta Group. Wow. Anyway, the Democrat-connected Podesta Group was reportedly under investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller back in October, which led to the group reportedly telling its employees that they were closing down. As rumors began to swirl that Mueller was getting ready to charge Paul Manafort with tax-related crimes, look for the Podesta Group's name to pop back up. Missouri Democrat senator calls for Trump's assassination and is still in office. Senator Maria Chappelle Nadal called for President Donald Trump's assassination in a Facebook post in August that she ultimately deleted. Her post sparked national outrage as multiple news organizations and politicians in the state called for her to resign. After initially refusing to apologize, Chappelle Nadal caved to the national spotlight and issued a seemingly insincere and scripted apology. You gotta like that, huh? Number 8, report reveals that Obama supported Hezbollah by ending federal investigations into Islamic terrorist organization. A stunning report revealed by the Obama administration ended a major federal law enforcement operation that targeted the Iranian-sponsored terrorist group Hezbollah because it wanted to secure a nuclear deal with Iran, a deal that some experts have called a complete joke. The operation, named Project Cassandra, launched in 2008 after the Drug Enforcement Agency had gathered a substantial amount of evidence that Hezbollah had grown from a military and political organization that operated solely in the Middle East into an international crime enterprise that was earning approximately $1 billion per year from drug and weapons trafficking, money laundering, and other criminal activities. Unbelievable, the stuff that's going on. Fake news, lies, and not reporting Trump's accomplishments, that's number 7. Whether it's the mainstream media reporting factually inaccurate information about the Mueller investigation, or the latest absurd article from Newsweek, or intentionally misleading tweets from The Hill. 2017 was bad for the media. The media not only deceived the American public by what they reported, but also by what they failed to report. President Trump, his accomplishments and his efforts. Some of Trump's 81 major accomplishments include crushing ISIS, booming economy, tax reform, appointing a ton of federal judges, Neil Gorsuch, ending Obama's job-killing regulations, recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital city, and rebuilding the military. Studies from Pew Research and Harvard have proven that the media has a strong anti-Trump bias and is intent on giving him mostly negative coverage. That sounds about right. Number 6, Democrat terrorist tries to murder Republican lawmakers. Joy Reid attacks victim Steve Scalise as he fights for his life. Remember when Steve Scalise got shot at the ball game? Democratic terrorist James Hodgkinson, who was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter and hated Trump, tried to murder multiple Republican lawmakers as they prepared for a congressional baseball game. Hodgkinson was a big fan of MSNBC's Rachel Maddow and was an avowed leftist who participated in the Occupy Wall Street events. MSNBC host Joy Reid, who is a documented bigot and homophobe, oh boy, I like that one, used the shooting to attack one of the victims. This is on Daily Wire, so those aren't my words, okay? Number 5, the Russia investigation has turned up nothing on Trump. Sure, a couple of people from Trump's campaign have received indictments in Mueller's investigation, but they're not for crimes committed by Trump or his campaign. Michael Flynn lied to the FBI. Papadopoulos lied to the FBI. Manafort and Gates are accused of committing financial frauds that happened years before the campaign and aren't related to Trump. The entire point of the investigation was to discover if collusion happened between the Trump campaign and Russian officials, and so far, the investigation hasn't turned up anything at all. Number 4, the Imran Awan scandal. 3 former IT staffers from former DNC head Debbie Wasserman, all of whom are brothers and are Pakistani nationals, have been exposed in one of the largest political scandals of the decade that the media continues to ignore. National Review's Andrew McCarthy called the scandal a real conspiracy aimed at undermining American national security. The Daily Caller News Foundation's Luke Rosiak broke the scandal in February when he first reported brothers Abid, Imran, and Jamal Awan were barred from computer networks at the House of Representatives Thursday. The Daily Caller News Foundation investigative group has learned. So we know what happened there, all the hacking, information being passed, this, that, and the other. Yeah. Number 3, new develops in the Uranium One scandal involving Obama and Hillary Clinton. Last week, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has ordered prosecutors at the Department of Justice to begin interviewing FBI agents about evidence they uncovered in a criminal investigation into a highly controversial uranium deal that involves Bill and Hillary Clinton, the Daily Wire reported. A report from October revealed that the FBI started gathering evidence in 2009 of Russian officials engaged in bribery, kickbacks, extortion, and money laundering that were involved in the Uranium One deal. I think that comes back to the Hammond Ranch, which is why the 2 Hammonds are in jail still right now. As a matter of fact, they lost their grazing rights while being locked up. You gotta like that. Anyway. Number 2, IRS admits they illegally targeted conservatives under Obama. In October, the IRS admitted that under former President Barack Obama, they targeted conservatives groups, as the Daily Wire reported. Daily Wire reports a lot of this stuff, and for some reason we're ignoring it, huh? The Department of Justice, righting the wrongs that Obama IRS committed when it waged an egregiously partisan campaign against Tea Party and other conservative groups, has reached settlements with the roughly 400 groups that were targeted. On Thursday, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that the decision that affected the groups whose tax-exempt status was significantly delayed by the IRS dating back to 2013, based solely on their viewpoint or ideology, not only will the groups be paid, but the IRS has offered an apology. So that kind of helps out too. You didn't hear much about that either. And of course, number 1, Nancy Pelosi takes months to condemn Antifa. Schumer, Obama, and Hillary never denounced the violent leftist group. On August 29th, House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi finally condemned the violent leftist group Antifa, which many have called to be designated as a terrorist organization. And I can see why. Look at these guys. Our democracy has no room for inciting violence or endangering the public, no matter the ideology of those who committed such acts. The violent actions of people calling themselves Antifa in Berkeley this weekend deserve unequivocal condemnation, and the perpetrators should be arrested and prosecuted. You got to kind of like that. Finally, someone's standing up. But there's the top dozen that were either glossed over or just totally forgotten about. Unbelievable. Now, of course, I've got to talk about this FISA memo. Okay, the FISA memo will be released. They're releasing the documents, and what's really strange about these documents after they released him, Tucker Carlson seemed to get some information from that, and he says it's worse than anyone imagined. Tucker Carlson of Fox News, he says, we spent the day finding out all we could about that memo. We made a lot of calls. We talked to quite a few people who read it, and here's what we learned. The memo, which is 4 pages long, primarily describes abuses of FISA. That's the law that allows the United States government to spy on American citizens for the purpose of stopping foreign threats, and only for that purpose. Spying on Americans is supposed to only happen in extraordinary circumstances, and of course never for political purposes. That would be a disaster. That's why we have FISA in the first place, to prevent that from happening. But that law has been abused, and the memo describes how. Quote, it's shocking, end quote, says someone who spoke to someone else who's read it. There's definitely enough there for criminal charges. Andrew McCabe is indeed mentioned in the memo. A number of our sources confirmed to us. Is that the reason he left his job? We couldn't get a definitive answer on that. It seems the memo likely played some part in his leaving. So I guess it was right after their meeting about that memo that Mr. McCabe decided he was going to take an early retirement and bide his time for the next 2 or 3 weeks or so and wait for his retirement to come in. To be honest with you, I don't think his retirement is going to make it. I don't know. You know, this whole thing is unraveling. We've got the State of the Union address at 9 o'clock tonight, okay? And I don't know what's going to drop at the State of the Union, but I have an idea that something is going to drop because Mad Maxine Water, Crazy Maxine, she's going to be doing a speech after the State of the Union. And I have an idea. She's going to, you know how Maxine is, if you're familiar with Maxine Waters at all. This woman will make a mountain out of a molehill. She will turn anything this insane and try to make it look sane somehow in a way that only Maxine Waters can do, which is why I guess they're going to have her talking, I guess. I mean, it's either her or Nancy Pelosi. They're both pretty crazy. But they're going to have Crazy Maxine up there, and she's going to do her probably a rebuttal to the FISA thing, okay? And I don't know how you can rebut this. I mean, we've got people like Adam Schiff saying, well, this hasn't been vetted. This hasn't been vetted. What do you mean it hasn't been vetted? This is it's a memo that was put together, a brief summary on the 22 pages that they've got, and they've condensed it down into 4 pages. It's kind of like a syrup. You've taken the water out, and now you've condensed it into a syrup. Well, that's what this is, and this is packed with this information. The Democrats are scrambling. And it's not just the Democrats that are scrambling. FBI and Department of Justice, both departments are either going to have to go away or be totally overhauled. Everything that's gone down is it's a mess. It's never going to come back from this. It's never going to come back. So we'll know later. After Andrew McCabe resigned from the FBI over the FISA memo, federal attorney exposed him as the traitor he is. Okay, Joe DiGenova, he's a federal attorney who's worked with the FBI for decades. He joined Laura Ingraham last night and revealed just how bad things are. He said, as someone who's worked for the FBI for over 30 years, I'm truly saddened by the fall of grace from everybody there. And he said, everybody. But he didn't stop there. He addressed Andrew McCabe's resignation and the FISA memo that allegedly proves an FBI plot to destroy Trump. Ingraham asked him to respond to Democrats saying President Trump is to blame for all this. Well, his response basically said, well, McCabe is to blame. Comey is to blame. Make no mistake about it. This was a plot to exonerate Hillary Clinton illegally. And then, if she lost the election, to frame Donald Trump with an illegal crime. This is the worst period in the history of the FBI. So it's time. It's time to clean this out. and rebuild it from the bottom up. That's the only way it's ever going to work. It's past time. It's well past time. Now, I'm going to jump off the FISA memos here for a minute, because it seems as though the founder of RT, Russia Today, I guess, Russia Today, was found dead in a motel room in Washington, D.C. It was November. It was in November of 2015. The Free Thought Project reported that Mikhail Lysen, the former head of the media affairs for the Russian government and the founder of Russia Today, was found dead in a hotel room. Originally, authorities announced that Lysen died from a heart attack. However, the results of his autopsy, was released months later, indicated a far more sinister cause of death, and the heavily redacted FBI documents that were just released add to that story. Here we go, back to the FBI again. Are you going to be able to trust anything the FBI has done, does? Or how about the stuff that's already been done? Okay, how many things are going to be overturned because all of a sudden there's suspicion in the FBI, and how far back does it go? How much of this leadership, supposed leadership, good questions to ask. But in spite of the original cause of death, noted as a heart attack, a few months later, the District of Columbia's Office of Chief Medical Examiner and Metropolitan Police Department said that blunt force injuries of the neck, torso, upper extremities, and lower extremities contributed to Lysen's death. So basically, he was beat to death. Okay? The officer of the chief medical examiner has released the cause and manner of death for Mikhail Lysen. Cause of death, blunt force injuries of the head. Now, and of course, with contributing causes being blunt force injuries of the neck, torso, upper extremities, and lower extremities, which were induced by falls with acute ethanol intoxication. In other words, what the FBI is saying is this guy got so drunk that he repeatedly and violently fell on things until he killed himself. Okay? He just threw himself around until he killed himself. Okay. Sure. That's... The world has gone insane. The world has gone totally insane. I don't get it. I just don't understand how this stupidity is coming out. And not only that, let's go back into time a little bit. Let's go back and check out the times that the government lost nuclear weapons that they still haven't found. Okay? Back in February 1950, the first known nuclear weapon loss occurred when an American B-36 bomber was flying from Alaska to Texas. It lost its power in 3 engines. It started losing altitude. The crew began to lighten its load by releasing 30 kiloton Mark IV, or Fat Man, nuclear bombs in the Pacific Ocean. While the bomb's uranium components were lost and have yet to be recovered, one diver said he believes he found remnants of the nuclear bomb off the coast of British Columbia in November of 2016. Okay. March 1956, a B-47 Stratojet was of the Air Force, was flying from MacDill Air Force Base in Florida to an overseas base carrying 2 nuclear weapon cores. When the aircraft completed its first air-to-air refueling, it never reached its second tanker and is presumed to have crashed. An Aerospace Web reported experts believe the plane and its contents are somewhere in the Mediterranean Sea, but no trace of the plane, its crew, or its nuclear payload was ever found, despite an extensive search. In July of 1957, the next incident occurred when a U.S. Air Force C-124 aircraft left the Dover Air Force Base in Delaware to transport 3 nuclear bombs over the Atlantic Ocean. When the aircraft lost power, the crew jettisoned 2 of the nuclear bombs. The bombs have never been found. It's presumed they're still located somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, around 100 miles from Atlantic City. The Asbury Park Press reported that when the first bomb was pushed overboard at an altitude of 2,500 feet, there was no visible explosion as the bomb hit the water, and it quickly vanished from sight. The second bomb was jettisoned in the same manner. Again, no observable detonation of the high explosive elements. In February, this is the fourth one now, in February 1958, when a U.S. Air Force B-47 bomber collided with an Air Force F-86 Sabre midair during a simulated combat mission from the Homestead Air Force Base in Florida. The pilot of the F-86 was ejected, and the pilot of the B-47 attempted to land at the Hunter Air Force Base in Georgia. After multiple failed landing attempts, the B-47 jettisoned the Mark 15 Mod 0 nuclear bomb it was carrying, which landed somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean near Tybee Island, Georgia. According to Aerospace Web, the initial search for the weapons lasted for 9 weeks, and then another unsuccessful search was mounted in 2001. And reports of radiation detected less than a mile from the shore led to the speculation of the bomb's discovery in 2004, but the bombs have yet to be found. Number 5, January 1961. The next Broken Arrow incident occurred when a B-52 carrying two 24-megaton nuclear bombs crashed after taking off from an air base in Goldsboro, North Carolina. A structural fire caused the plane to crash, killing 3 of its 8 crew members and releasing the 2 weapons. One of those weapons stuck to the ground and then sank in a swampy farmland. And while the Air Force recovered its plutonium, most of the thermonuclear stage, including highly enriched uranium that made up the bomb's core, was never found. Reports claim that the U.S. Air Force responded by buying a permanent easement that gave government permission to dig on the land. Number 6, in December of 1965, an A-4E Skyhawk attack plane carrying a B-43 thermonuclear bomb sank into the Pacific Ocean after it rolled off the USS Ticonderoga while returning to a naval base in Yokosuka, Japan after a deployment to Vietnam. The plane, the pilot, and the weapon were lost in more than 16,000 feet of water and have never been recovered. It was not until 1989 that U.S. officials finally admitted the accident took place, 70 miles from Okinawa. The Los Angeles Times noted that this incident provided evidence that U.S. warplanes operating off Vietnam were loaded with nuclear bombs, and that U.S. warships carried atomic weapons into Japanese ports in violation of Japanese policy. And number 7 is in May of 1968. The attack submarine USS Scorpion was returning to its base in Norfolk, Virginia after a 3-month deployment when it mysteriously sank in the Atlantic Ocean, about 500 miles southwest of the Azores Islands. The submarine, 99 crew members, and one of the nuclear reactor and 2 nuclear-tipped torpedoes that were on board were all lost and have yet to be recovered. While questions remain about what led up to the tragic loss, Aerospace Web reported that one of the most prominent theories is that a battery within one of the submarine's torpedoes overheated and ignited. The subsequent fire caused a warhead detonation and blasted open the torpedo loading hatch at the top of the forward compartment, which led to a flood of water to the hatch that sent the Scorpion over 10,000 feet into the ocean. Crew members and all. So those are things you don't hear about also. I am about halfway through here, and we're going to take probably a 2-minute break, and we'll be right back.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on latenightinthemidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The L&M Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others whom are interested in the topics and guests that the L&M Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So, become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
Goodness, I like the sound of that song. That's Ben Sound. We've got the music by Ben Sound here, bensound.com, and I had to put in a plug for him since we're using his music. Welcome back. Thank you for listening to What's Out There. And this week you're going to see a whole lot of fake news coming out. You're going to see crafty statements and false drops and all kinds of fake news stuff. So keep your eyes and ears open, because apparently the American people have no clue. Unbelievable. But then again, it's really not unbelievable, is it? Because we see what's going on. Adam Schiff, this guy, his eyes, I don't know what it is. It's like he's grasping at straws. He looks just like that guy from the governor from Florida. The eyes will open up wide, but still kind of stay shut. And it's like, ooh, I see something. And this is when the wheels are turning, and you know something isn't right. These guys, I don't know. That's a weird look in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. UBS, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, they pay millions in spoofing settlement, the CFTC says. Deutsche Bank will pay $30 million, UBS $15 million, and HSBC $1.6 million to settle civil charges that some of their traders engaged in spoofing in the precious metals market. Right? Until now, an illegal trading technique called spoofing has been associated with two-bit commodities outfits and lone wolf traders operating in the shadows of the markets. But prosecutors revealed on Monday their investigations have hit the big time. Deutsche Bank, UBS, and HSBC will collectively pay nearly $47 million to settle civil regulatory charges that some of their traders engaged in spoofing in precious metals, manipulating the price. Deutsche Bank will pay $30 million, UBS $15 million. It is in a total wide-reaching investigation by the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, and also named 6 individuals. The 6 individuals were arrested. They were taken in. Now, there was an executive order by Barack Obama, if you remember right. Barack Obama was going to take down Gitmo, close Gitmo. We're going to close it right up. And it didn't work out. And, well, it seems as though now that executive order has been lifted, because I think we're going to need Gitmo and some other places, and a lot more other places, because there are a lot of people who are going to be, well, let's say vacationing for a while. How about that? I've got to touch on the flu here. Since I don't do transitions, I just kind of float off the handle. You know, if anybody knows how I am, you know how I am. All of a sudden, it just changes. Subject is gone. This year's strain of flu, H3N2, has been knocking people out hard. In the news, 7 of 8 individuals who died of flu had received a flu shot. It does not work. It can cause flu-like illness, suppress your immune system, and even cause paralysis or kill you. Eastern Idaho Public Health said that the last report, the effectiveness of the flu shot was about 30 to 40%. They suggest fighting the flu by frequent hand washing. You can also keep your immune system strong by eating healthy, low sugar, get enough sleep, supplement with vitamin C, D, lots of fluids, cook your own meals at home, and stay at home if you start feeling ill. The flu shot just doesn't work and is not worth the risk. Don't listen to media hype. The reason health officials are still pushing the shot is because CDC and Big Pharma don't have a job if you're healthy. They don't have funding if you don't need to keep buying their products. That is the bottom line there. Okay. Congress zeroes in on secret society of the FBI, Department of Justice prosecutors, federal judges, and the Washington, D.C. elite that are trying to take down Trump. Of course, we've seen it's been over a year now. They're still trying to take him down. And to be honest with you, if you are still a Democrat after a year of all this, if you've been paying attention and you're still a Democrat, you're brain dead. There's no hope. If you're not paying attention, then I guess ignorance is bliss, but it's not an excuse. In this age of information, ignorance is choice. Is choice. Anyway, congressional investigators and intelligence veterans have uncovered a clandestine group of anti-President Trump federal employees who have reportedly been working to sabotage the President of the United States, according to congressional and federal law enforcement sources. This isn't just any ragtag group of disgruntled employees complaining at the water cooler at the post office. This secret society wields serious clout, the type of power that can't investigate enemies or take others down, okay? According to intelligence officials, this secret society really is a collection of different sects stemming from the FBI downward through various branches of government, picking up anti-Trump members along the way. And these are powerful people with the ability to punish folks who cross them. Who belongs to this society? FBI agents gone rogue against Trump in favor of Barack Obama's agenda, who are limited to the many investigations into FBI corruption. Federal judges, federal prosecutors, retired FBI, possibly one sitting attorney general of a large U.S. state, and possibly attorney generals of other states. They communicate with meetings over cocktails at homes by way of encrypted chat rooms, texting on drug cartel burner phones, and even by way of an email list, according to sources. Others have secured phones in the names of relatives to try to stay under the radar. There's an email list of federal judges and federal prosecutors, U.S. attorneys, who are trying to take down Trump, one source said. I listened to a woman explain this in great detail. I was right next to her. She kept referring to the list and what these people are plotting. She was talking like it was no big deal. It left me shaken. Secret societies, secret lists, the deep state at work. FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe is at the center of the FBI's group. The embattled McCabe, although minimized in his current role, reportedly participated in or green-lighted off-site gatherings of the FBI brass in recent months to fend off growing scandals linked to his name and remain employed. These are FBI executives responsible for the oversight of the Bureau. And while Director Christopher Wray is by title in charge of the FBI, he simply has struggled to maintain control of the agency. McCabe associates scattered in the FBI field offices throughout the United States remain loyal to McCabe and Comey and their way of doing things. We figure there are 60 or 70 people loyal to Andy McCabe, one FBI official said. It's nearly impossible to remove all these agents. Many have been promoted to important roles. They've met in private. We think this has been ongoing for a long time. It has been ongoing for a long time. There was a 16-year plan to kill the country. 8 years was Obama. Another 8 years was going to be Hillary Clinton. Why? There's a New World Order? There is no New World Order. It's not going to happen. Angela Merkel is a little upset because, it seems as though our New World Order isn't going to happen anymore. Something went wrong. But she's in that bloodline. She's in the Hitler bloodline. She was Hitler's daughter. So when someone in Congress says there's a secret society, it's time to sit up. It's us guys, they say we're in tinfoil hats, right? Okay. You guys, there's something wrong with you. You're crazy. You're loony. You're out there. Okay? Because the secret society and people working in the background, and there's been an overthrow of government. There has been an overthrow. It's time to give it back to the people, okay? The people want the country back. And it's very simple. I think Trump said it best. I'm not sure. Boy, listen to me. Trump knows all about what's going on with the deep state and all that. He's got a lot of good people, and what keeps him alive, believe it or not, what keeps him alive is his personal security. That's one thing Kennedy didn't have. He didn't have personal security. Okay? And let's see. It was back in January, if you remember right. Wasn't it back in January when President Trump mentioned that today is the day we give the back to the people? Is that right? Let me see.
January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again.
Yeah, January 20th. So we gave it back to the people. And that's when he said, it's all over. There are some people out there like Mad Maxine Waters, and well, I don't know where they're from.
For too many of our citizens, a different reality exists.
Exactly, a different reality exists for too many, and I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it comes from the congressman. What do you think?
Congressman? Who likes congressmen?
Yeah, nobody likes congressmen, right? Nobody likes congressmen. Julian Assange, they're going to let him go from WikiLeaks. Okay. I don't know where they keep showing pictures of him in different places, making us believe that he is still where he was. But I believe he might be, they might be covering him up somewhere, making sure that he is safe. Because if you know anything about Trump and WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks.
That's right. Trump loves WikiLeaks. And there's a reason why he loves WikiLeaks, okay? It's because WikiLeaks gave him a lot of information. It gave a lot of us information. And this is good. WikiLeaks was a good thing. Oh, goodness. Let me see. The FISA memo is coming out. It's going to be out this week. It's got 5 days. 5 days for the president to look it over. All 13 Republicans and all 9 Democrats were against it. Well, 13 Republicans for and 9 Democrats against. So, of course, majority rules, right? President Trump has 5 days to approve the memo's release to the public or object to it per a review process. The committee voted on a party line, according to ranking member Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff, the guy with the crazy eyes, right? Who gave a press conference after the decision. No decision will be made on the release until the Congress, after the required vote, provides it to the White House. There, it will be subjected to appropriate and serious review before a decision is made. The president strongly favors transparency for the American people and has urged executive branch to cooperate with Congress to the fullest extent appropriate. So President Trump and his team, and they're all cooperating. Everyone is cooperating with the investigations. Although the investigations are bogus, they fly in the face of everything that Americans stand for. He's still letting them go. He knows they're not going to find anything. There's nothing there to find. Okay. Democrats on the committee have drafted their own counter memo and sought a vote to have it released to the public at the same time as the other memo. The committee rejected releasing the Democratic memo to the public, but approved releasing it to House members. It was the procedure with the FISA memo. The committee could later vote to make that memo public as well. Why are you doing a counter memo? A memo, didn't we say that? A memo is based on all the information that they gathered together and condensed. So there is no reason why that should happen. None at all. Billionaire Democratic donor to stop DNC contributions after government shutdown debacle. Washington Examiner reports that billionaire Democratic mega donor Tom Steyer has announced that he will immediately stop all funding from the Democratic National Committee. Steyer, known for his political activism in recent years, was dismayed by how several high-ranking Democrats voted in the recent government shutdown kerfuffle over illegal immigration. I don't have a litmus test on any one thing, but I do have a litmus test for elected officials standing on principle and doing the right thing, looked at holistically, Steve told Fortune earlier this week. And I want to say that after the DACA vote, I have decided not to give anything to the National Party committees. So this DACA vote, first of all, it was never done. DACA was never done because, well, it's illegal. It was never done to begin with. It wasn't even an executive order. But for some reason, some people think, boy, this is an executive order, and, Trump is going to overturn it. He's going to cancel it somehow. Well, it was never done. How can you cancel something that was never done? Begs the question, right? How can it happen? Anyway, spying. Spying is built right into your telephone nowadays. It's in the hardware. You're not going to get it out. You got an i5, you've got it. Okay? I mean, any iPhones, smartphones, Windows Phone, you've got it. It's all in the hardware. They can turn on anything, anytime, anywhere, even if it's sleeping. So if you want to power your phone down and make sure you're not being listened to, that's the only way to do it. Power it down. Oh, goodness. FBI Director Wray shocked to his core by the FISA memo. McCabe removed next day. Now, you see, they say McCabe was removed, but then they said it was a mutual agreement that he step down and sit back and wait it out. But like I say, if he's going to wait it out, he's waiting a few weeks, and if all this stuff comes together, he's not going to get his retirement. The whole Democratic Party has gone insane. Tucker Carlson said it. Their new position is that it's immoral to restrict any kind of immigration from any country in any amount for any reason. Even enforcing our existing laws, the ones they voted for and passed in Congress, is tantamount to a hate crime. So here's the thing with Democrats. They're like New England weather. If you don't like what they're saying, wait a few minutes and ask them again. You never know. You're probably going to get a different answer. There is nothing systematic with the Democratic Party. I was a Democrat all my life. And then I saw something wasn't quite right when Barack Obama came in. And it scared me. The whole time Barack Obama came in, to some degree, I was nervous. I watched everything come down and the way it all is set up. And it's like they can take anybody off the street and hang on to them for no reason. Any reason or no reason. So, which was kind of nervous a year ago. Made me nervous a year ago when I got a visit. I could have been taken away and never returned. But it seems as though we have new control over the power that we gave to the president. And the Democrats are saying, oh no, the wrong people have that power now. How can we get that power back? How are we going to do it? And if you look at CNN right now, this is January. We're not even the last day of January yet. And they are already counting the votes that they're going to get in November. 10 months away. 10 months away, they're already counting the votes. Okay, so the only platform that the Democrats have is we're not the Republicans or never Trump. That's all you're going to get from those people. It's crazy. It's insanity. It's lunacy. Oh, my goodness. I don't know how much more to say about that. Insanity, lunacy. It's Democrat. How about that? It's Democrat. Anyway, oh my goodness, I'm going to start choking here. Republican Senators Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham just dialed their ongoing Senate Judiciary Committee investigation up a notch by requesting from various sources who worked with Fusion GPS the nature of their work and the extent of their role with the infamous Trump dossier. The Senate Judiciary Committee investigation involves how the FBI handled the investigation into opposition research firm Fusion GPS, former British spy Christopher Steele, and whether the information from the infamous Trump dossier was used to obtain a FISA warrant. And that is what we're going to hear. We're going to hear that today. Yes, they used it to get the FISA warrant. Not only did they use it to get the FISA warrant, they used it to try to set him up for more stuff warrant that was never going to happen. Not only did they used it to get the FISA warrant, it was never there. They used it so I don't know where to go with this. They got this is what's going to be coming out. It's all kinds of stuff. I don't like it. I don't know if you're going to like it, but there it is. Your government is falling apart. Your FBI is crumbling. Your Department of Justice has already failed, and it's borderline now. All of the alphabet agencies have corruption at the high ends of them. They need to be either reformed or disbanded, one or the other. This is going nuts. My goodness. MMA fighter. I'm going to jump off of this because my blood pressure is getting a little up there and I've only got a few minutes left. Amateur MMA fighter Daunte White passed away Saturday night after a fight. The 37-year-old collapsed and became unresponsive after losing to Ricky Muse. He was rushed to a hospital in Louisville, Kentucky, where he died. The rest of the event was canceled after he was rushed to the hospital. Amateur MMA fighter, okay. Here's what happens. You have to be careful. The body is a very delicate thing. It was the wrestler's first time back in the ring in nearly 2 years and was immediately stopped when he failed to protect himself against another hit. Okay, the referee, Gary Copeland, had to step in the ring 2 minutes and 22 seconds into the second round after White could not block a number of his brutal hits. He was responding and seemed fine to referee Gary Copeland throughout the battle, but seemed exhausted just after it ended and received immediate medical attention. White was able to walk to the backstage area but collapsed and became unresponsive as soon as he got there. He was given CPR backstage and taken to Kentucky One Health, St. Mary's, and Elizabeth Hospital in an ambulance. It's not clear the exact time of death, but when he had to be rushed to the hospital, Kentucky Boxing and Wrestling Commission made the call to cancel the remainder of the event. The specific cause of the death is not known at this time. The last time White stepped into the ring was November 2015 when he knocked out Joe Johnson Jr. in the first round of the Hard Rock MMA 76. The body is a very delicate thing. You hit it in the wrong place, and you're done. You're done. Very delicate thing. You're done. You hit it in the wrong place. And you're done. It's crazy. Your body is very delicate. On that note, thank you for listening to the first debut of What's Out There. Today again is Tuesday, January 30th. It is now approaching noon, and we're coming from the great state of Maine. I'm lost, my goodness. Okay, we're off. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day, and what else can I say? Oh no, what else? I knew this was going to happen. I lost everything. Unreal. Good night, everyone.
Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there?